A very good morning to all the students. Welcome to the special lecture series. The lecture series is meant for Tybcom and MCom Part 2 students. The subject is income tax. MCom Part 2 students have skill development course in semester 3. MCom Part 2 semester 3. The skill development title, the subject title is Direct Tax Consultant, that is income tax. And the same subject is also for Tybcom students. So Atre sir, I thought why not we should invite Tybcom students also. So that will be a platform for the students to just 1 minute.
Yeah.
Dear students, we have CM Mahesh Atre sir. Sir, I am very happy to say you that we have joined this session through college account, and we are recording this so that we are recording this so that we can refer this. We are recording this so that we can refer it in future also, and the same is on college YouTube live. So I welcome CA Mahesh Atre sir, our own faculty from Department of Commerce. Sir has more than 20 years of experience in teaching, as well as sir is a practicing chartered accountant. So he's a better person who can teach taxation than a chartered accountant. So sir is very much associated with the students, and in a very short notice, sir says yes. And I welcome you, sir, on behalf of Department of Commerce, Pune College of Arts, Science and Commerce. And sir, I request you to please continue, sir. Over to sir, CA Mahesh Atre sir.
Good morning, all of you. First of all, I am thankful to the management, to the college authorities, as well as my friend, Professor Vakil sir, for giving me an opportunity to discuss the matter. Actually, I'm not going to teach you. I'm going to discuss the income tax provisions in order to update your knowledge. Try to understand, I'm not going to teach you any particular topic or a particular provision. We are going to discuss overall the provisions. So I'm very thankful to all of you also for joining this lecture. Actually, you are very senior students from both postgraduate and undergraduate students, and I'm very happy to discuss this matter. Now, why the taxation is very important? Please try to understand. Whether you are in a commerce faculty or you are working in any other activity, now the tax plays a significant role. Please try to understand from government point of view and from individual point of view, tax plays a significant role in your life. Now, please try to understand. A very famous quote is there that tax and death is certain. Both things are now certain. Now, continuing with this principle, we are going to discuss about the basic concepts and why the taxation is very important from government point of view first, and then if time permits, I will discuss with the public as a whole. Now, please try to understand why the taxation is very important. So, taxation is very important because it's the main source of revenue to the government. Now, when we are talking about the word government, it is maybe of different types, maybe the central government, maybe the state government, maybe the local authorities like cantonment board, municipal corporations, so that taxation is the main source. So try to understand, I'm going very basically, taxation is the main source of getting revenue. So getting revenue is very important for any organization. Now, not only the government, but for any organization, getting revenue is very important because they are not going to spend money if the proper revenue is not collected. So that I'm talking about the taxation as a whole, and in that particularly, the government is very interested, whether it is a central government, whether it is a state government, or even the local authorities, they are very particular in collecting the revenue by way of taxes. Now, taxes plays a significant role. Now, you will not understand able to understand it if you are going to say the another part of it. Now, when the government is going to do the budget, how they are going to do the budget? Not like what we are going to do. Our basis is, that means our individual, we are going to do, first of all, we are going to take into account the income side, and then we are going to spend the money. But the government is not going to do that. Government is going to first of all record expenses, note down the expenses, and then accordingly they are going to collect the money in order to meet the expenses. So that our strategy, our policy is going to be different, and government policy is going to be different. Now, I'm going to discuss you. I'm going to share the screen also regarding the taxation. Now, for our discussion, source of revenue to the government. There are two types of sources to the government: direct taxes and indirect taxes. Please try to understand. I'm going to discuss in detail about this, so you will able to understand the significance of taxation, as well as the why the taxation is very important from both point of view. That means from government point of view and from general public point of view. Now, the direct tax is only tax in India now. Only income tax is the direct tax, and there are a number of indirect taxes are there that you may be knowing, GST. Other than that, even the local taxes are going to be there. Yes, so number of indirect taxes are there. Now we are going to discuss basically the difference, and then I am going to discuss about the income tax more properly. उसके बाद मैं उसके ऊपर डिस्कशन करना चाहता हूँ इनकम टैक्स के। लेकिन उसके पहले तुमको मालूम होना चाहिए कि डायरेक्ट टैक्स क्या है और इनडायरेक्ट टैक्स क्या है। डायरेक्ट टैक्स, आई एम गिविंग एग्जांपल फर्स्ट. So the income tax is the direct tax, whereas GST is the indirect tax. Now, why we are going to call it the income tax and direct tax? Because it is tax on income. Try to understand, income tax is a tax on income, whereas GST is tax on goods and services, which is very recently from year 2017, the GST was introduced, and it is on goods and services. Before that, we are going to call it as a VAT, value added tax. Before that, we are used to call as service tax, and number of excise, customs, and like that. Now, why the direct tax is very important and why indirect tax is important? So direct tax is important, and why we are going to say is a direct tax, because in case of direct tax, tax burden cannot be shifted from one person to another. Everybody has to pay his own taxes. Please try to understand. In direct taxes, the tax burden is on individual or even for the organization, and they are going to suffer the tax, or they are going to pay the tax out of their own sources. Whereas it is not the case in case of indirect tax. Indirect tax is a tax where the burden of tax passes from one person to another. Now take the example of a case, you may not agree with me, but in case of GST, just take the example. If today you are going to purchase a two-wheeler for yourself, and the quotation is given to you of rupees 75,000 for that two-wheeler, that 75,000 amount, that is the on-road the vehicle will get, it includes GST. The taxes are already paid by the manufacturer. The manufacturer has already recovered it from distributor, and the distributor is already going to recover it from you before giving you the delivery of the vehicle. So please try to understand. Today you are going to purchase the vehicle, but the GST is already paid by the manufacturer. It may be possible that additional tax may be paid by the distributor or authorized agent, and then you are going to pay 75,000 to the dealer as on today. But please try to understand that tax is already paid on that vehicle. Now, suppose you are going to sell the two-wheeler to another person. Again, you are going to transfer the vehicle along with the amount, and in that case, you are going to recover the GST, what you have paid to the dealer. So the tax burden is indirect. It is going to pass from person to person. That is indirect tax. The government is going to collect both the taxes, direct tax and indirect tax. Now, why it is required? So now please try to understand. Before that, we are going to discuss the direct tax is a tax on income, and very few persons are going to contribute by way of direct taxes. Now, it is not possible for the government to collect the direct tax. That means we are going to call it as a income tax from all persons or citizens. Because in case of direct taxes, the principle is that the basic principle is that to collect the tax, that is direct tax, from those who have capacity to pay, ability to pay. That is not case in case of GST. GST is not as per the ability to pay or capacity to pay, but it is depend on the category of commodity you are going to purchase. It is based on commodity. Whereas, please try to understand the difference between the direct tax and indirect tax. The direct tax is not charged to the all citizens, to all persons. Why? Because it depends. The basic principle of charging the direct tax is that it is to be paid as per the capacity to pay, ability to pay, and the tax burden is going to increase as and when there is an increase in income. So that whenever there is an increase in income, naturally the tax will increase. That we call progressive taxation. That we call as a progressive taxation. What is meant by progressive taxation? All are not going to contribute. Those having capacity to pay or ability to pay, they are going to pay the taxes. And the next principle is that as and when there is increase in income, there is going to be increase in tax. Please note that. On the contrary, you can say that ऐसा भी हो सकता है कि तुम्हारा कोई दोस्त है, तुम्हारा कोई रिश्तेदार है, वो बता रहा है उसका टैक्स बहुत बढ़ गया है, इनकम टैक्स बहुत बढ़ गया है, उसका मतलब उसका इनकम बढ़ गया है. पहले ये सोचो, उसको बोलो अरे तुम्हारा इनकम बढ़ गया है इसलिए तुम्हारा टैक्स बढ़ गया. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता कि तुम्हारा टैक्स बढ़ गया और इनकम कम होता है. नो, that is going to be called progressive taxation. In the whole world, there are different methods. Three methods are very common in case of system of taxation. How they are going to charge the tax? First is progressive taxation. Second is flat rate, that is means common to all and at par. And number three is regressive taxation. So progressive means as and when there is an increase in tax, increase in income, the tax will increase. What is meant by at par or at flat rate? That means everybody is going to pay the same amount of tax. And what is meant by regressive taxation? Regressive taxation means as and when there is an increase in income, your tax will come down. But India, after independence, we have adopted progressive tax system. What is meant by progressive tax system? As and when there is increase in your income, you will have to pay more and more taxes. So that you may be knowing, and those who are newcomers, I'm going to say to you that you may be knowing that there is a slab up to 2,50,000 individuals are not going to pay the taxes. Those who are senior citizens, the slab is 3 lakhs. Those who are super citizens, that means above 80, they are going to pay tax only and only if their income exceeds rupees 5 lakhs. So why there is a tax on slab wise? Because there is a justification from the government that they are having ability to pay, they are having capacity to pay. The tax is a burden. Please try to understand, government is also accepting that tax is a burden, so that the burden is going to be on as per the capacity to pay, as per the ability to pay. सब टैक्स कंट्रीब्यूट इनकम टैक्स नहीं दे सकते, जिसका इनकम कम है वो दे नहीं सकता, इसलिए जिसका इनकम ज्यादा है उसको उनको टैक्स ज्यादा होने वाला है, उसको वे बोलते हैं प्रोग्रेसिव टैक्सेशन. So that only 4 to 5% of total population is paying income tax. And I hope that you are going to pay income tax as early as possible. इसका कहने का मतलब है कि तुम्हारा इनकम बढ़ना चाहिए, as I am well wisher of you. And when you are going to pay more and more taxes, इसका मतलब है you are going to get more and more income. So please try to understand. I am going to say reverse way. That means everybody, as my student and those who are attending this lecture, very soon you will have to pay the tax. I am talking about income tax. And you are going to pay more and more to the government by what taxes, because I am well wisher, and in that case, it means simultaneously your income is going to increase day by day. That is my best wishes for this lecture. I'm giving you wishes for with this lecture that तुम्हारी income भी बढ़ जाएगा और तुम्हारा tax भी बढ़ जाएगा, because it is of progressive tax scheme. Now why I'm not going to discuss about the indirect taxes, because it is not a progressive. Please try to understand, it is not progressive GST. And GST, all are going to contribute. Income tax, you are very few are going to contribute. Whereas here, almost all are going to contribute by way of taxes, GST. You are already paying GST. So I'm not giving any best compliments for you, because you are already contributing by way of GST, because you are purchasing number of things. You are purchasing stationery, you are purchasing vehicles, you are buying number of things every day, hotel charges are there. So you are contributing to the government taxes, that is indirect taxes. I am very sure all of you are going to contribute. All are going to contribute, because you are going to pay mobile bill, you are going to pay telephone bill, you are going to pay electricity bill, you are going to pay stationery for stationery, petrol. Everybody is going to pay for petrol. So if GST is already included, that means I am talking about all of you are going to contribute indirect taxes for last so many years, so that it is not new for you. But what is the beauty? What is the important in case of indirect tax? A person is contributing to the government by way of indirect taxes, but he is not aware how much he is contributing to the government. So government is getting revenue, government is getting money by way of GST or by other indirect taxes, but the payer or the contributor is not aware how much he is going to contribute per day, per week, per month, per quarter, or per year. So nobody knows how much going to contribute, because we are going to contribute indirectly, and we are not going to account for that, so that government is going to get revenue by two ways. By one is by income tax, that is by direct taxes, and another is by indirect taxes. Now here the system in case of direct taxes is progressive tax system, but in case of GST, or I'm going to talk about indirect taxes, it is going to be on commodity basis. Commodity basis means the government has classified commodities as necessity, as comforts, and luxurious. So as and when we are going to contribute, we are, by way of purchasing luxurious items, you are going to contribute more taxes to the government. If you are going to contribute or you are going to purchase comfortable items, comforts we are going to call, you are going to pay less taxes as compared to the luxury rate, or you need not have to pay the tax on necessary items. So this here the category of taxation is percentage wise. You may be purchasing the goods by paying 0% tax. It may be a 5% tax. It may be a 12% tax. It may be a 18% tax, or it may be a 28% tax. That is category wise. Please try to understand. In case of income tax, the progressive tax system is there. Taxation system is progressive. That means as and when there is an increase in income, you are going to pay increasing taxes. But in case of indirect taxes, you are, that means the purchaser is going to pay the taxes according to his need base. It's called need base. If you are in need of purchasing necessary items, you need not have to pay the tax, or you may have to pay tax at a lower rates. If you are going to purchase luxurious comfortable items, you have to pay little bit higher taxes. And if you are going to purchase luxurious items, then you are going to pay higher rate of taxes. So please try to understand different types of rates for different commodities. Please try to understand. In case of indirect taxes, government has given you the option to purchase the goods as per your requirements. If you are going to purchase necessary items, you have to pay, either you need not have to pay the tax, or you have to pay the tax at a concessional rate, at a lower rate. If you are going to purchase comfortable items, then you will have to pay little bit higher taxes as compared to necessary items or commodities, but lesser rate of taxes on as compared to luxurious one. And if you are going to purchase luxurious items, then please note that you are going to contribute to the government higher rates of taxes, because government is going to charge higher rate for luxurious items. Yes, now you are going to ask me the question, how you are going to define whether it is a necessary items, whether it is a luxurious items or comfortable items. Now government is going to take the decision. On one hand, they may going to contribute, one year they may say it is a necessary items, otherwise they are going to call it as a luxurious items. So that the government object, now we are going to see the objective of the government for collecting of direct taxes as well as indirect taxes. Now, you are going to ask a question to me or for the income tax teacher, that why there is an income tax? What is the objective of the government? And the government is going to say, and I'm going to just, I'm not representing the government, but I'm going to discuss the government's view in charging the direct tax. Please try to understand. I'm just discussing and just taking government's view why they are going to charge the direct tax. Then I'm going to discuss about the indirect tax. So government is going to say for economic development, the government is going to collect the tax. I'm talking about direct tax. For economic development of the country, they are going to collect the tax. So why what is mean by economic development? I'm not economic teacher, but for economics means for the basic infrastructure facility, for the day-to-day activity, they are going to collect the taxes. In advertisement, so far as advance payment of taxes, you might have seen in the on the television or radio that you pay the tax for infrastructure. That means for dams, construction of roads, for metros, and for the development of parks and museums and all that kind of number of things, roads, for the basic infrastructure, you have opportunity to contribute to the government by paying of advance tax. What is meant by that? So government is insisting, government is pursuing you to pay to by way of direct tax, by way of income tax, to contribute for the development of the country, for the contribute for the development of the country. That means for infrastructure facilities. So government is going to spend more and more money for infrastructure facilities, and for that they are going to collect more and more revenue by way of direct taxes. So that we call it. That is one objective. But government is not going to say that it is the only objective. Please try to understand. Government is going to add social activity, social purpose also. The government is going to say, yes, our prime objective is to collect the income tax is for economic development. हम इकोनॉमिक डेवलपमेंट के लिए लोगों के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर फैसिलिटी देने के लिए हम रेवेन्यू कलेक्ट कर रहे हैं, but that is not going to be the only solution, only answer. They are going to say we are going to collect the taxes of direct taxes for social purpose. Now what is meant by social purpose? Government is going to say we are we are having the system of progressive taxation, and in progressive taxation our principle is to collect the tax from the rich person, from the ability to pay and the capacity to pay basis. So we are charging the tax, income tax, from those who have capacity to pay, who has ability to pay the tax, and we are not going to charge the tax on the weaker section, on the poor people. So what we are going to collect? We are going to collect the tax by way of income tax, which is a direct tax from the rich person, and we are going to use it for the betterment of poor people. So you have, in case of economics, you have already studied the reducing the inequality of income. So government is going to say, please try to understand, I'm not going to say of my own. My personal view may be the different, but I'm just going to say why the government is charging direct tax. So what is the logic? What is the basis on which the government is charging the direct tax? तुमको ये मालूम होना चाहिए कि इनकम टैक्स गवर्नमेंट क्यों लेना चाहता है. Because as a student and as a citizen of India, so you must know why the government is collecting the taxes by way of income tax. Because for economic development on one hand, and the second is the for social purpose. So that social purpose means they are collecting income tax from rich person and utilizing that amount collected for the betterment of poor and needy person. It is government is going to say. Please try to understand. My view may be the different, and I'm not going to discuss my view at this moment. If time permits, in another lecture, I will explain you how it is going to be different. But that is not the our point of discussion. So the government is going to say for basically for two reasons. That is for economic development, we are collecting the direct tax that I'm talking about income tax, and for social justice or social purpose, so that we are going to collect the tax from not all, but we are going to collect it from selected persons. Please try to understand. Government is going to say we are going to collect the tax from selected persons, not from all. And what is meant by selected persons? That means we are going to collect it only from the rich person and not from the ordinary or poor people. This is the logic. This is the basis of the government. But that is not the case in case of objective of indirect taxes. Please try to understand the objective of indirect tax is different. It is economic development. Definitely, the government is again going to say, government is very clear about it that we are going to collect tax, whether it is a direct tax or indirect tax. Our basic motto is, basic objective is for economic development. But in case of indirect tax, the government is going to say that second objective is that, another objective is that for monitoring the consumption of various items or commodities. Try to understand. This is also very important. There is a difference. Common objective is that government objective, common objective for direct taxes and indirect taxes is for economic development. That is the main. But other objectives is going to be different. In case of direct taxes, other objective is going to be social purpose. But in case of indirect taxes, other objective is for monitoring the consumption of various items. Now, is it correct? Yes, partially it is very correct. Partially, I'm talking because number of things are not yet covered in GST. Now, try to understand. Government is why government is saying that for monitoring the consumption of various commodities. When government is going to say that the certain commodities are to be not to be consumed much by the general public, they are going to charge more and more taxes on the commodities. Now take the example of a case, in case of liquor, in case of cigarettes or other such commodities, government says it is a harmful, so don't consume it. So government is going to say pay the taxes more. If it is harmful, we are going to discourage the general public to consume these items. So we are charging more and more tax on these commodities which are harmful to the human being. And second thing is that which are luxurious. So government is going to say we are charging, why we are charging more taxes on luxurious items? Because it is the policy of the government to control the activity, the consumption of that product. Government is going to give more and more stress on consumption of necessity items, and they are going to say, why they are going to say? Because necessity items are very essential for the human being, irrespective of caste, creed, and income group. They are not going to classify. Necessity items are there. So they are either charging at a nil rate or they are charging at a lower rate. But government is not happy with this. Government is saying we are going to charge more on luxurious items because we want to control the consumption of that items. So they are charging more taxes on petrol, diesel, oil. Why? Government is going to say we are our intention is not to collect the taxes, but we are going to monitor the use of these commodities. Please try to understand. it is government point of view. I am not going to represent the government. I am just discussing the part, because otherwise you are going to discuss number of things. My personal views are going to be different. Again, I am going to say it is just for the sake of discussion. I am going to put the points in front of you. ये जो है वो गवर्नमेंट चाहती है कि कोई कमोडिटी है जो जिसकी जरूरत गरीब लोगों को नहीं है, इसको वी आर गोइंग टू कॉल कंफर्ट, वी आर गोइंग टू कॉल luxurious one. So now take the example of a case in government is going to say we are going to charge more taxes on AC, air conditioner. We are going to charge more on mobile. We are going to charge more on computer, because government is saying it is going to be luxurious. Yes. Now there may be a dispute. One person may think it is a luxurious one. Another person may think no, it is not luxurious. It is a necessity. Just take the case of your family. In your family, landline may be a necessity for the senior persons, but for you, the necessity is the mobile phone. Yes, so it is going to be person to person. Yes, so that is going to be different. But the government is going to recognize that they are going to charge more taxes on luxurious items, comparatively more taxes on comforts, and lesser taxes on necessary items, in order to give the benefit to the public, to the general public as a whole. And second thing is that to monitor the consumption of these items. Government is not interested to that the consumption of certain items should be more. I'm giving the example of harmful items, petrol, diesel, and that's why government is going to say we are charging at a higher rate. So this is the objective of the government, that in case of direct taxes, the basic objective is economic development, and second is the social purpose, to reduce the inequality of income, to take extra income available with the rich and use it for the betterment of the poor. And second, in case of indirect taxes, economic development is the objective, to collect the tax or charge the tax as well by way of indirect taxes. And the second objective is that for monitoring the consumption of various commodities, and that's why they are going to charge different rates for different commodities. I already written here different types of rates for different commodities, because to monitor the consumption of various items or commodities. I'm going ahead because I'm not going to discuss in detail, because there are a number of objectives. Please try to understand there are a number of objectives of the government for collecting both direct taxes and indirect taxes. Now, sharing of data. Now, your basic things practically, I am also going to discuss this because it is very essential. This income tax and GST are interconnected. Please try to understand how it is interconnected. Please try to understand. In case of sharing of data, now GST details are available to income tax department annually. Now GST department is such a setting their software that the GST collected by the person is available to the income tax authorities or even the individual to know how much GST he has contributed. Similarly, now annual return in case of GST is referred while doing the assessments. So the government is also taking the cognizance of how much income you have declared in your annual return while filing the income tax return as well as for GST return. In GST return also, they are interconnected, how much the tax is paid. Now, how it is possible? Because the PAN number is that, and GST number, they are interlinked, so that they are going to share the data in between each and every department. Just a minute. Sorry. So continuing with this, so they are, please try to note that as practically you must know that they are both the departments are now sharing the data. Sharing the data means both are having information of each and every assessee, and both how much they have contributed income tax, how much they have contributed indirect tax, that is GST or other taxes. So the sharing of data is there. So as a student, as a income tax practitioner, everybody must know that Now, when you are going to write down, when we are going to upload the income tax return or the GST return, you have to be very careful about information you are going to provide, because the both departments are sharing data automatically. Please try to say automatically means software is such a developed that the both authorities are going to able to find out how much is the contribution, how much is of direct taxes, how much is the indirect tax, and the basis is, in case of income tax return, PAN number is the mandatory, but as well as you have to write down the GST number and GST details. Similarly, in GST returns, your PAN number is quoted as well as your GST number is the mandatory one. So the sharing of data is there. Now, going ahead with this, in case of direct taxes, and I'm talking about the income tax. Now, please note, I am again and again, I'm talking only about the income tax, because the income tax is the only tax which is coming under the direct tax. Now, there is no other tax which is direct tax. Only the income tax is there. Now, from practical point of view, because I'm going to discuss it not as a examination point of view, I'm discussing from practical point of view. And you must know the basic things about the income tax. Now, the income tax is also further classified in case of corporate taxation separately, non-corporate taxation separately, international taxation separately. TDS wing is there, TDS contribution, that is TDS wing is differently, transfer pricing is differently. So when you are going to ask me the question, sir, do we have any scope for practicing in income tax? So my answer is going to be this: yes, there is a scope for practice, and you can do practice in different taxation angle or in different taxation portfolio. It may be a corporate tax. What is meant by corporate tax? That means for companies, for private limited company, taxation of public limited company, government company, or foreign company, whatever it may be, we call it as a corporate tax. They are major contributor to the government. Please try to understand. The corporates are going to contribute more to the government by way of by way of direct taxes. And please note, in case of corporate taxes, there is no concession, there is no slab. They are going to pay the tax at a zero, from starting from zero. Once they are earning 1 rupee, they are supposed to pay the tax. These slab rates and flat rates are available only for the individuals. But in case of corporate taxes, even 1 rupee they earn as an income, they are supposed to pay the tax to the government and at a higher rate. So the government policy, so far as corporate organization is concerned, they are going to say, earn the profit, maximize the profit, pay the tax maximum by fair means. This is the policy of the government so far as corporate taxation is concerned. Non-corporate means other than corporate taxes, individuals, then HUF, then partnership, all that we are going to call as a non-corporate. That is going to be the taxation of non-corporate is going to be different. Similarly, international taxation is going to be there. What is meant by international taxation? An Indian citizen who is earning income abroad, or we are going to call resident, non-resident, their taxation, that if the income is earned other than our country, we are going to call as a income from abroad or income from other countries. In that case, a person has to pay the tax in India. Similarly, a person outside India but earning income in India, he is supposed to pay the tax to the government, so that it is come under the international taxation. Because that person in that way, we are going to discuss about the international taxation, we have to take into account the taxation, that is the tax paid by him in India as well as outside India, and double taxation. Number of things are there. So there is a chance for practice in international taxation also. And it is again, there is a definitely scope, and it is going to increase. The scope is increasing day by day, because other governments are also going to share the data with our government, and they are going to say, you check your data, whether the tax is paid properly or not. We are going to share your data, we are going to provide our data to you, and whether the taxation is paid properly, the tax is paid properly in both the countries. So there is a scope for international taxation. Second thing is that TDS. Next thing is that TDS. What is meant by TDS? Tax deducted at source. So please try to understand, TDS plays significant role in In income tax department, TDS section is different. We call it a TDS wing. The commissioner is going to be different. They are looking after how much TDS they are going, public is going to collect. Public is going to contribute to the government by way of TDS. You may be knowing, if you are getting salary, the tax is paid by way TDS. TDS is deducted from your salary, and there your employer is going to contribute to the government by on your behalf. That we call as a TDS. Maybe the TDS on salary, TDS on dividend, TDS on interest income. So many things are there, and the government is going to get more contribution by way of TDS. And the government is very interested to collect the tax by way of TDS because they are going to get timely. In case of TDS, the government is going to get the tax timely. So the government is very interested to get the revenue by way of TDS. It is again practice of filing the TDS returns and TDS what do you call collection on behalf of your client. So the practice is also there. Transfer pricing is another way of in that case, what is meant by transfer pricing? The suppose the foreign company is giving services in India, selling the goods in India, then there is, it may be chance that that company, in order to avoid taxation in that country, selling the goods at a concessional rate, because the taxation in India is at a lesser amount. In that case, both the countries are going to check. Our country is also going to check. In order to avoid the tax in other countries, you need not open the branches in India, and in our country also you have to pay the taxes accordingly, and you should not avoid the taxes. So that we are going to call it as a transfer pricing. They may charge at a sale price may charge at a lesser rate. In order to differentiate that, government is going to charge transfer pricing mechanism in order to share the data, share the taxation in different countries. So we call it as a transfer pricing. Now, in case of GST also, there are, I'm talking about from government point of view and from practicing point of view. Government is going to collect CGST, central GST. Another one is integrated or interstate GST. And the last one is SDT, means state GST. So the government is going to collect all kind of taxes depending upon your transaction and your activity. The government may collect CGST, means central GST, IGST means interstate GST, and number 3 is SGST, means state-wise GST. Collection, state government is going to collect the GST. That we call as a collection of different taxes. State government is also getting the contribution of GST, major contribution. Then state government is also getting the contribution by way of GST. So that is going to be the another task. Now the practice. So now practice, so far as practice is concerned, there is a MCOM students are well aware that they are already knowing the topic of tax planning. A separate topic is there in MCOM part 1. So tax planning is there and tax management is there. In case of direct tax, both things are very important. Tax planning and tax management. Actually, tax management is the part of tax planning. I'm not going to discuss in detail, but you must know that there is a difference between tax planning and tax management. So far as GST is concerned, tax planning is there, but very initial stage, there is a tax planning. Otherwise, there is a tax management. Now, tax management is very day by day getting very much importance, significance, because here you are going to what you are going to do in tax management as a student and as a practicing tax consultant. In that case, you are going to, first of all, in case of tax management, you have to contribute to the government by way of advance tax, by way of self-assessment tax, by way of TDS, by collecting the tax from your client and paying in time to the government. That is first thing. So that you are going to give services to your client for payment of advance tax, for payment of GST, for payment of self-assessment tax, for payment of advance tax. This is one. Second thing is that payment of tax is one. And second thing is that filing the returns. In case of tax management, it is the duty of the concerned person or the taxpayer not only to pay the tax in time, but to file the returns or challans, or even in a few cases, it is said that filing of returns is very major part. What is meant by that? It may be a filing of return monthly basis, it may be on quarterly basis, it may be a 6 monthly basis, or it may be on annual basis. So please try to understand the tax management involves giving the services to your clients to comply number of what you call provisions or the requirements of the government. You are going to give the services by way of tax management, by payment of taxes on behalf of your clients, on behalf of public as a whole. And another service is that to file the returns, maybe the monthly basis, maybe the quarterly basis, maybe the annual basis, that is come and tax management. So that in tax management, what is the basic thing is that to do the necessary compliance in time to avoid the interest, penalty, and prosecution. So this is the area of practice. Now we are talking about the act. In case of Income Tax Act, this Income Tax Act is constructed by British. It is not constructed by India as a initially, and we are following till today. The structure is the same. So income tax is, please try to understand, income tax is introduced. It is this act is constructed. That is, construction of the act was done by the British. Before independence also there was income tax, and the same policy, the structure is we are going to follow. The same we are going to continue till today. But that is not the case in case of GST. You all are aware the GST Act came into existence from 2017 and it was applicable from 1st July 2017. So this GST, what is the difference? The GST is a very new tax, the new act, and it is the government of India introduced one. Same is not the case in case of indirect tax, direct tax, income tax. The construction or the introduction was done by the British, and we are still following the same guidelines. The same structure is going to be there. Now you are going to ask me the question, sir, we are the Income Tax Act, every year they're changing in the provisions. Please try to understand. The provisions are changing as per the budget, but the basic structure is going to be the same. Now we are going to follow the Income Tax Act 1961. Please note that the structure is going to be the Income Tax Act 1961. Only the provisions are changed. We call as amendment in the provisions of Income Tax Act. But the act is the Income Tax Act 1961. The structure, again I am discussing, the structure is going to be the same. Even though we are going to say the 1961 Act, 1922, the Income Tax Act was there. Before independence was there. The same act, only some revision was done, but the structure is going to be the same, which is not yet changed for the last so many years. Till today, we are going to follow the same structure. So Income Tax Act is the constructed, introduced by the British, whereas GST came into existence by the, which is introduced by the Indian government, and from 1st July 2016 17 it is applicable for whole India. The policy is that the one country, one tax. So that is going to be the GST. So this is the difference we have already discussed about the income tax and about the GST. And before that, we have discussed about the direct tax and indirect tax. Now I am going further regarding the income tax provisions, because our topic is regarding the income tax. In order to understand the importance of taxation and philosophy of the government, policy of the government, I have already discussed so far the direct tax and indirect tax, but our focus is on the direct tax, and that is going to be Income Tax Act. Now in Income Tax Act, we are going to say, first of all, we have already discussed it is a progressive tax system. It is applicable to whole India. Second thing, we have already discussed about the introduction of the tax or the initiative is taken by the British government, and there are different types of. Now we are going to discuss about the income tax. That in income tax there are two types of taxes: slab rate and flat rate. Now, when we are going to study initially, we are going to study only the slab rates. But in income tax, both rates are applicable. Somewhere it is going to be slab rates, and in some cases it is going to be flat rate. Particularly, in case of capital gains, the slab rate is also there and flat rate is also there. So that in income tax, they are using the both method to collect the taxes by way of slab rate or by way of flat rate. Now, going ahead with the income tax, the taxation depends upon the first of all the nature of what you call person. The basic thing is that in income tax, the basic thing is that the definition of person. Because when anybody, any person or your friend is approaching you about the consultation of income tax, naturally you are going to ask question: what is the status of the person? Are you talking about individual? Are you talking about HUF? Are you talking about partnership firm or private limited company or LLP or trust, cooperative society? Then only you are going to ask about his residential status. Please try to understand the starting point is the nature of person, whether he is individual, partnership, LLP. Don't give any advice without knowing the status of that person, because the answer is going to be different from person to person. That means the same provision may not be applicable for the individual, same provision may not be applicable for the partnership firm or the company. Similarly, another, which you know very well, the another is that heads of income is very important. That is going to be the 5 heads of income: income from salary, income from house property, income from business and profession, income from capital gain, and the last one is income from other sources. So please try to understand, whenever any person is approaching you as a friend or anybody like that, don't give the answer immediately. Try to understand his nature, that is person, then try to understand his residential status, and then take the information, relative necessary information from him, and then guide him. So the income tax, first of all, status is very important. The person, status of a person, then residential status, then charging of income, and then you are going to say divide the income under the 5 heads. Accordingly, you are going to take the total, and we are going to call it as a gross total income. So any difficulty, any query, you can ask me. I'm going to wait for just for 1 minute. So I have to ask Vakil sir, how much time you are going to permit me to go ahead with this lecture?
Yes, sir. The session is very mesmerizing. You can continue, sir, no problem. I have enabled chat so that everybody, if you have any problem, you can write in the chat box. If you have any questions, so you can write to me.
Regarding practical point of view, dear students, keep in mind, you update yourself. Technology, use technology. There is definitely scope for you. So it is my duty to update you that if you know the technology. Now, without technology, now it is very difficult, because you have to file the returns, you have to file the appeals and all these things. And without technology, it is very difficult. But otherwise, as a youngsters, you have definitely scope in practicing taxation. Try to understand there is a scope. Why there is a scope? Because taxation is not so easy to understand for the general public. They need the expert advice, they need the expert's guidance to comply the provisions. And in that case, your knowledge, your updation, your technology awareness is going to help both. Please try to understand, I'm talking about both. That means not only to the your client, but to the government also. government is also depending more and more on the professionals, on the practitioners, because the common person is not able, or common person have no time to devote such to update his knowledge, to know the provisions and do the compliance. Please try to understand. Finally, what is important? The compliance. As a student, what you will also do? You are doing the compliance. You are going to appear for the internal examination. You are going to appear for the final examination to score the marks. This is nothing but the compliance from your point of view. Same is the government is also expecting more and more compliance from the clients, from the general public. But unfortunately, because of number of reasons, the general public is not able to understand the provisions, or they have no proper time with them to update themselves. So they are going to depend on the experts for the tax practitioners, and the tax practitioners basically you have a scope in case of tax management. Actually, this is not actually our basic subject to discuss, but I am going to stress more from practical point of view, because you know theory from books, but in practice tax management plays significant role. Number of students, and particularly those who are expert in using computer and technology, they are doing wonderful jobs. Try to understand, I am going to use the word wonderful. They are earning like anything. On the contrary, they are not in a position to complete the job in time, because there is a pressure from the client, pressure from the government, as well as pressure to complete the job in given time. So in tax management, they are going to do wonderful jobs. I know there are number of students, number of newcomers, they are doing tax management. That means payment of taxes, online payment of taxes, of advance tax, self-assessment tax, GST, and particularly in GST, you have to pay the tax every month. So there is a number of opportunities there. Only thing is that you update yourself, and you must know the technology. Mere knowing the technology is not enough, and mere knowing the act or the provision is not enough. The both things are very important. मैं तुमको एक बात बताता हूं, इफ डू योरसेल्फ, कुछ दिन में तुम बोलेंगे अरे सर अभी कोई किसी को मुझे मत भेजो, मेरे पास बहुत काम हुआ है. So it is I am giving you the challenge, I am giving you the assurance. Do it properly, do it be particular, prompt in service. तुम्हारे पीछे लोग अरे तुम हमारा काम करो. I am giving you assurance that such an opportunity is there in case of tax management. Filing the return in time, payment of taxes in time, filing the appeals. This is only possible with the help of technology and knowing the provisions. Now, this is, I'm talking about practically. I'm looking after number of students. They are giving number of services to the clients, to the general public, for payment of taxes, for do the compliances, and why it is very essential, and how they are going to get the service, because they are going to save the time of the client, and they are saving the money by way of non-payment of interest, penalty, like that. Yes, another suggestion to you is that please guide the general public by doing proper services, charge it properly. There is nothing harm in it, and as well as save the interest, penalty, and prosecution of your client. Definitely you will get more and more clients, and on the contrary, within a very short period of time, you are going to say that we are going not only save the interest and penalty, but we have given the services to the both, to the nation as a whole and to the client as a whole. So I'm first of all, I'm welcoming our dynamic principal, Aftab Anwar sir. I'm very happy that because of this lecture, I'm able to meet him. So just I'm waiting for 1 minute. I'm giving opportunity to him to guide you. So I'm very happy. So sir, guide our students.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. All the students, those who are here today, it is very important that this is the last minute suggestions. Last minute, you are getting information from a chartered accountant. Atre sir, though he is our teacher, he is very good friend of mine.
Thank you,
Vakil
sir.
sir has taken initiative. मैं आप लोग को यही कहूंगा कि जो भी अभी ये लोग बता रहे हैं आप लोगों को, इसमें बहुत कम बच्चा ज्वाइन हो रहा है. मैं ये कहूंगा कि हमारे जो स्टूडेंट्स है, इनको इतना अच्छा मौका मिला हुआ है. यू आर गेटिंग अ वेरी गुड अपॉर्चुनिटी कि इस साल तुम टीवाई होके निकल सकते, एमकॉम होके निकल सकते हैं. लेकिन हमारे स्टूडेंट्स में वो एक इंक्लिनेशन नहीं है, कि वो सोचता नहीं है कि उसमें इस साल का जो मौका है, जो लास्ट ईयर बच्चों को मिला, इस साल मिलेगा. सर ने अभी जो बताया वो चीजें अगर आप लोग सही ढंग से करेंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली आप लोग अच्छी डिग्री लेके इसमें से निकल सकते हो. अपने जितने भी तुम्हारे दोस्त है, अभी मैं देख रहा हूँ 37 लोग ज्वाइन किए, तुम्हारे सब फ्रेंड्स को बताओ, उनको कॉल करो. हम टीचर लोग तो सबको कॉल कर रहे हैं, लेकिन स्टूडेंट ज्वाइन नहीं हो रहा है. स्टूडेंट अगर हमको असाइनमेंट नहीं देगा तो उसको मार्क कैसे देंगे हम लोग? स्टूडेंट अगर इंटरनल एग्जाम में नहीं बैठेगा तो उसको मार्क कहां से देंगे हम लोग? अगर आप लोग हमको मुंह नहीं दिखाएंगे, वो भी किधर, जूम के ऊपर, हम थोड़ी बोल रहे कॉलेज में आओ. हम तो आपको बोल रहे हैं आपके